How are you doing today? Welcome to Why Is That? The podcast series that always starts with why questions based on the first principle thinking method. This approach offers you multifaceted perspectives on various life issues, helping you cultivate a truly spirited way of living. Let's dive into this episode. Have you ever imagined a world where, the moment you are born, your fate is sealed by a sequence of genes? A detailed genetic report dictates that you possess a genius for mathematics, or that you should simply resign yourself to a life of wage earning, or perhaps that you have no potential whatsoever to join the ranks of the elite. Just imagine. If we were to apply this elite selection mindset to the wizarding world of Harry Potter, where human worth is solely determined by bloodline or innate origin, what opportunities would exist for Hermione or Dobby the house elf, when society deems them mere mudblood, commoners, and lowly slaves? What's frightening is that such scenarios, seemingly confined to science fiction, are now becoming a heated topic of discussion right in the heart of Hanoi, with proposals for genetic selection to cultivate an elite class. If elite status is determined by genes, what will become of those who don't possess favorable biological markers? If a child is labeled an elite while still in the womb, will personal effort still hold any meaning? If success is merely a matter of double-helix DNA strands, then all our efforts, compassion, and will to strive for betterment have been utterly meaningless all this time, haven't they? Will such scientific advancement truly optimize human capabilities, or are we, in fact, heading towards a future where discrimination reigns supreme? Let's seek the answers together on Why Is That? In today's podcast episode. My dear friend, to be fair, we cannot deny the achievements that genetic science has unlocked for medicine and education. Genetic screening allows parents to detect genetic diseases early, helping children be born healthy. From there, personalized learning paths or optimal biological traits can be developed to enhance outstanding abilities such as logical thinking, creativity, and even physical potential. Just think about it. If we could foresee that a child has a predisposition to psychological instability or congenital incurable diseases, allowing for early intervention, wouldn't that be a miracle of humanity? Science, at its inception, always carries the mission to serve life. However, when the concept of genetic selection becomes a biological metric for screening and cultivating elites, it becomes an entirely different story. That's when people want to use science to find innate predispositions. Who is smarter, who is quicker, who has a better memory, in order to funnel investment resources. Science, in this context, inadvertently becomes a mold that produces predefined models of success, dictated by genetic codes. In such a scenario, humans are no different from biological raw materials that can be classified, selected, and discarded right from their DNA structure. Humanity seems to be treating the lives of its fellow beings no differently than how one selects a crop in a laboratory or a herd of livestock on an industrial farm. Let's discuss social disparities and inequality in this context. In an era where knowledge is leverage and human resource quality is the core determinant of a nation's standing, applying scientific achievements to unleash human potential seems to have become an inevitable trend. But then, who will be the first to access gene screening technology? Certainly not children born in remote, disadvantaged areas or those trapped at the bottom of society by the burden of making ends meet. It will be the privilege of the elite, who possess financial advantages to optimize genetic inheritance and create super generations born with a silver spoon in their mouths. This inadvertently creates new social inequality and stratification based on biology, where human value is referenced by innate factors. A child from a poor family, even if they try 100 times harder, could be eliminated from the start, before even having a chance to demonstrate their abilities, simply because their genetic test results weren't labeled elite. This inadvertently places immense pressure on parents when deciding to have children, and further, raises issues concerning demographics. The mindset of parents always wishes for a better future for their children, hoping that their child's efforts can change their destiny. However, in a society that uses genetic selection to cultivate elites, that hope seems to be stifled even before the child cries their first breath. Because parents would know with certainty that in a game where the winning ticket is predetermined by genetic code and the advantage belongs to the upper class, the loss will undoubtedly be their child's. Consequently, many might refuse to have children, so their offspring don't enter a competition deemed unfair from the outset. At this point, society could divide into two strata: genetic aristocrats and genetic commoners. This cultural shift creates an injustice even greater than the rich-poor divide, because wealth can be accumulated over time, but genetic code is bound to a person's entire life. According to Carol Dweck's growth mindset, individuals with a fixed mindset believe that intelligence is an innate trait. In contrast, those with a growth mindset believe that intellect, talent, or personality can be cultivated and accumulated over time through persistent effort. Instead of being a launching pad to awaken potential, genetic selection technology inadvertently promotes a fixed mindset ideology, treating humans as ready-made products rather than evolving entities. Children labeled elite will face the fear of failure, while ordinary children will lose the motivation to try, believing their fate is already sealed in their DNA report. Unbeknownst to us, we would be establishing a civilization where one person's starting line is another's permanent barrier. Both become victims of a system that uses probabilities as a measure of human worth. The second issue to discuss here is that of educational ethics. According to the Golem effect, when a student is perceived as incompetent, they gradually lose self-confidence, feel untrustworthy, leading to decreased achievement and motivation. Low expectations from society and family act like a glass cage, causing students to withdraw, limit their potential, and become a version consistent with the initial negative assessment. When the focus of education revolves around individual capacity, achievement, and innate advantages, society might produce batches of talented individuals with brilliant intellects and perfect genetic codes. But whether they possess ethics, no one can guarantee. In the name of cultivating future elites, people inadvertently strip away the right to equal and fair education, the right to define oneself through effort, not through DNA. The third issue that needs to be mentioned is the waste of hidden talents. In the popular consciousness, intelligence has long been considered an innate talent, framed by IQ tests as an immutable coefficient measuring intellectual potential. In reality, according to Howard Gardner's theory of multiple intelligences, humans don't just possess logical mathematical intelligence, IQ, but also linguistic, intrapersonal, musical, interpersonal, spatial, naturalistic, and bodily kinesthetic intelligences. There are people who struggle with a simple integral calculus problem, but can captivate an entire audience with an inspiring and emotional speech. Some cannot recall the periodic table of elements, but possess a creative ability to capture life's essence through the lens of colors and poetic prose. If this world only had digital workers skilled in algorithms, then who would compose healing music? Who would understand the cracks in the human soul? Wouldn't a project solely focused on digital workforce or strategic technology inadvertently limit a nation's vision? By using too narrow a filter to select elites, society will miss countless talents outside the technical field. People who might not excel at programming, but possess emotional intelligence, creativity, or the ability to connect people. Not to mention, if we apply strict and rigid screening standards from the outset, we might strip away opportunities from late bloomers. Just imagine what this world would be like if, back then, people used a genetic test to reject Einstein, who was once considered slow in language development as a child. Another issue that cannot be overlooked is social responsibility. There's a paradox. Many individuals with ordinary biological starting points, thanks to humanistic education and persistent effort, have become outstanding talents. Conversely, some possess superior intellects with seemingly innate intelligence and brains, yet lack a proper educational foundation. They become exploiters who make choices that harm themselves, their families, and their communities. In his book, Outliers, Malcolm Gladwell demonstrated that exceptional individuals are not those who are excellent from the starting line. Success comes not only from individual talent, but from a combination of a little luck, proper education, and most importantly, 10,000 hours of deliberate practice. Therefore, society needs to put the right people in the right jobs, optimizing abilities for the purpose of serving the community, rather than having isolated, complacent elites in their cocoons of good genes. Even more, in Hidden Potential, Adam Grant emphasizes that talent is always within us, awaiting an opportunity to be activated by internal effort. True elites are forged through challenge. Uncut jade cannot be fashioned into a vessel. Fire tests gold, hardship tests strength. People who are not refined through difficulties can hardly become truly accomplished. Hidden potential is only awakened when we face our own limitations. This hardship is the strongest impetus to break the inertia of stagnation. Beethoven went deaf at the peak of his musical career, but with his passion for music, he poured all his desire into composing Symphony No. 9, which became one of the most classic musical works of all time, a testament to effort overcoming physical limitations. Not every child is born smart or foolish. A good set of genes, without effort and passion, will merely operate like a machine. If a genetic selection project merely seeks intellectual machines while neglecting to cultivate character, then we are not truly creating elites, but rather individuals isolated from the community. Only when linked with social responsibility does elite status become a driving force for sustainable development. Exceptional talent might give you a brilliant launchpad, an advantage over others at the starting line, but it is absolutely not a free pass that exempts us from mistakes or bitter failures. In reality, sometimes the very complacency about a superior genetic code is what makes us overconfident and stumble harder than anyone else. Society needs genetic elites who are humble before the truth, who correct their mistakes through introspection, rather than geniuses who stand at the pinnacle of self-satisfaction and detach from reality. And my dear friend, the proposal of genetic selection to train elites, at first glance, might seem like a forward-thinking strategy. But upon closer examination, it inadvertently equates the power of genetic science with the core human values in human development policy. Genes are just seeds, but the environment is the soil. If we are too busy searching for super seeds and forget to enrich the soil of ethics and culture, we might harvest large trees, but they will be thorny instead of providing shade for life. Genetic technology should truly serve humans, not turn humans into products of technology. The evolution of society lies not in creating intellectually extraordinary talents, but in creating people with character. Human development must first be about character development, and only then about optimizing capabilities. Whether you're a clumsy Nobita or a perfect Dekasugi, everyone deserves an environment to fully develop their unique potential. Our destiny does not lie in the DNA strands within our cells, but in how we choose to face difficulties every day. Don't let anyone or any test define your limits. And are you ready to become an elite in your own way, through your own effort and kindness?